On. So this is going to be the video of me explaining how to get a task done. So I'm going to be going against the norms just to get show a basic example. And if you look at the instruction, it basically welcomes us to the project, and explains a lot of things. So all this here are basically dummy info. So what really matters is this. So workflow process summary. Upload a non-trivial non-Python project that you've created. This is your starter project. So basically we have a Python project where a non-Python project where we have like a completed code. So that will be our base repo. Create and solve 10 tasks related to the project. For each task, create a complex task that involves changes across the project repo. So that's for each task now in a project to create 10 tasks, right? And solve complex task in a task actually. So we solve the task, we write test cases, and then we save the diff of your implementation. So we upload to this particular repository, to this particular link. So I am the only one who have access to this because it is my personal mail. So example repo and task. So basically this link here, it leads me to this place. So they give an example repo, and this is a repo, that's a project, and this is a task. So if I open this, we are going to see a lot of things actually. I would come back to this. So we are going to see a lot of things. I'll come back to me downloading the zip and all. So if we continue, we go back to our documentation. So now you create a repo. That's our first step. Your repo must be a medium to large sized fully functional code base. So everything must be functional and it should compile with no errors. So we don't want projects with errors where it wouldn't run on build or whatever. Its primary language must not be Python. So that means it is like it might have Python in the code base, but Python must not be the primary language. So your repo should be a full stack application, both front end and back end, using a modern tech stack such as MainStack. So this is actually recommended. It is not like the meta. So like if you're a back end guy, you can do back end. If you're a front end guy, you can do front end. But if you feel you want to do both for your project, it is up to you. That's if you have a full stack project before. Create a starter repo with which will be the base of all your tasks. So we have a starter repo which is the base of all our tasks, right? You can create and upload larger project that you worked on, or in the past create new one from scratch. So if you have a code that you've worked on before, a project that you've worked on, you can use that as your base repo, or you can code a base repo from scratch. So if you upload a past project that you've worked on, it must be your own unique code, and it must not ever be made public online. That means uploaded to GitHub with public visibility, or GitLab, or Bitbucket and the likes. You must have full ownership of the code. So you must not use any LLM to create the repo. So basically, to create the base repo, you must not use any LLM. So this is basically a warning that if they find that you use LLM, they are going to ban you from after query and remove from the project. So we are done with this section. So now they are now trying to tell us that we have to build the Docker image for the repo. So that means for your project now, you have to have you have to containerize it. That's the whole repo. So I basically, like I said, I'm going to go against the norm. I will be using a Python project to demonstrate this. So this is the project. This is the project I'll be using. So this is the base repo, somebody's code on GitHub, a close friend of mine. So this is basically his code base. So this is the base repo, right? So he basically created a URL shortener with a shortener app, a Django, and a Django URL shortener app. So basically this is our base repo. So if we continue now, in the instruction, so example Docker file, feel free to change your specifications. So minimal Docker file now. So the thing is, they basically got like a Python version. They created a new working directory. They copied the requirement.txt and they installed all the packages in it. So this is more like a Python thing, but it's just so they copied the whole code base, the app source, and they ran the test scripts. So basically this comment highlights this. So all these are basically things that if you should know. It's basically them. Run user had app user, I don't know what that is. I also don't know what this is, but I know this here is basically to give permissions to make this run test.sh executable. So this is more like something that you customize if you know Docker. And then they gave us a comment, grade I will pass task ID as an argument. So n3.run test.sh. So you don't really have to rush. So what happens is your Docker file has to be you not building like your repo, like not really containerizing your repo, but running your tests with Docker. So we are going to get there. So they give us a example of Docker Compose. We take our service, we have our app, right? And okay, let's just continue. We have our build. We are building from our roots. That's our root folder. So this image is basically like Docker image, but since you are building from root folder, you don't need image. So this is command. So this command calls this shell file like we have here, and it takes in a task ID. So it would also get there too. So this is just a basic schema of what like you containerizing your repo should look like, but this is far from what is expected. So create 10 tasks in your repo. So now we want to talk about how we create a task in the repo. Create 10 tasks that are within one of the following categories. Each task should be significantly difficult for LLM like Claude and GPT to implement. If a model could easily implement it, then it is too easy. So do you get that now? Each task should require large code bases across 3 files. So that means if you have a task and you are doing something in that task, you must at least make changes in 3+ files, or 3 bare minimum. So like let's say I have my base repo and I want to add like if we look at this base repo now, so let's say this is base repo, it has no authentication or anything. So let's say I want to add user authentication, that means sign up, login, whatever. I have to make sure that I make changes in at least 3 files. Is either I'm creating new files or I'm editing files or whatever, but it must be more than 2. So if I backtrack here now, task must be verifiable with a test case suite. So that means after you implement a change to your base repo, you always have to write unit tests for it. And we do not permit UI changes as task. So for people that write front end that maybe feel like they could edit footer and header and other stuffs as a task, it is eligible. You have to make sure that you do something different if you're going to be using a front end project or a front end application as your base repo. That means you can do other things like integrating backend API, integrating fixing or adding state management, adding Redux routing. You can do all other things also. So they gave us a task category. So the first category is feature implementation. That means enhancing existing code with missing functionality or building new capabilities from scratch. So I'm sure we all know what this is about. Bug resolution, correcting faulty implementations, addressing logical errors, or handling previously overlooked edge cases. So in this case now, bug resolution is basically we trying to fix edge cases and bugs that are currently present. But you have to make sure like for each task make sure that it works, because you'll be writing unit tests for it. So for this bug resolution, it's kind of tricky. It is basically having issues like, let's say we could sign up, and our signs up with the right test case, but in our sign up we didn't really do email validation. So that means I can basically sign up with complexity as an email. So that's actually a bug. That's a faulty implementation, but because of a road test case based on that scenario, it worked. So that's bug resolution part. Code restructuring is basically we refactoring our code base. So that means we are breaking complex segments into modular functions, eliminating duplications, and creating appropriate abstractions. So basically, is we just trimming the fat and making sure that we have quality code and following the best practices of writing good code. So performance optimization improves execution speed, reducing memory footprint, or simplifying code complexity. So this is basically us trying to improve the performance of our overall app. More like more like database queries and all like that. So if you know that, okay, we query our database more often, so you can improve performance by maybe adding a cache. So this will also improve performance, and you can do a lot of things also. Maybe trying to always try to clear memory and all. So that's basically it. So if you want to create 10 tasks, you can mix it up. You can do feature implementation bugs. You can just do it anyhow. You can do two, three, something like that. You can just do feature implementation all along, anyhow you want to do it, in any order. Doesn't really matter. So making a task now. So we want to talk about making a particular task. So what do? Write the task description of the task. So write the task description of the task in a new .txt file placed in the following directory. So we are aware now that we are going to put something in a directory. So if you look at it, we are in root/tasks. So now if you look at my base repo, I don't have that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something. I'm going to be in my base repo. So this readme is not actually in the right place. The readme is supposed to be here. So this is my base repo. This is my base repo. So what I'm supposed to now do is I'm going to create a task folder. After creating a task folder, so if I go back to the instructions, I'm going to create a task ID. So a task ID can be anything. It can be a name, it can be a number, but in this case I'll be using a number. So I know that I'll be creating a task ID. So I'll create a task ID directory. So I'll say 1. So after I create the task ID directory, what I'll do is I'll create task description.txt. So if I go back here in my 1 folder, task description.txt. So after creating task description.txt, then I'll say something. Your task description should be formatted as instruction for another programmer to implement. So that means whatever description I'm doing in the task, it has to be in like a second pronoun. It's not like I'll be like, okay, I implemented a database, I implemented this. No, it is basically me saying it in using second person pronoun. More like can implement whatever you do, you have to be like you're telling somebody, you're instructing someone to do it. So they gave this template where of how your task format should look like. So I'm going to copy the template. So they say it must contain these exact tags for the parser. So they have a parser that scans this and then it judges your work with it. So I'm going to copy everything now. I'm going to paste it here as our example. So what I'm going to now do is, so let's see what we can do. In this case, I'll be doing a feature implementation, because you can see here they give us category, feature, bug, refactor, and perf. So in this case, I'll be doing a feature implementation, and my tags can be anything. So I'll be leaving this. My parser name, the parser name is basically your unit testing framework. So it might be any unit testing framework, PyTest, Jest, Maven, whatever. But in this case, they stated it somewhere that they only support PyTest, Jest, and Maven for now. So they don't support G-Test, whatever other testing framework you're using, or Cypress. So we'll be going for PyTest here. For JavaScript people or whatever people, you can use anyone that you have. But I believe either of these testing framework can work anywhere. So we'll be using PyTest, we'll be using Feature, and we can just judge the difficulty. I think the difficulty for this one is, let's say, medium. So we know we have decided this already. The domain, we are keeping it the same. So now if we look at the task name, we'll give it any name, so we can name it anything. So in this case, I want to do authentication for user, so I can see user authentication. So instruction, detailed description of the task requirements, including all required behavior and success criteria. So we are given the description, the requirements, and the behavior. That means what we'll consider if this task is successful. Can include fields such as background, critical tested requirements, and steps and all. So it's basically, this instruction part is going to be more robust than others. So if I go here now, I've actually done like a task on the same repo that I copied somewhere else. So I'm just going to be copying and pasting. So these are task 1, right? So I go to task description and I copy this. So I'll also paste it here. So this following the same formatting. As you can see, PyTest, my tags are Django, REST API, my category is feature, my difficulty is medium, and if you look at my instructions, my task name is sorry, I have to confirm this. Yeah, task. Okay, so my task name is authentication system in Django. My instruction, goals, implement a custom blah 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 blah. So configure, you see how this, so I talk about my configure custom authentication, how I plan to configure it, the authentication features. So it's going to have user registration, login endpoint, protected endpoint, and proper permission checks. It's also going to have proper error handling, to like validating active users, expired tokens, and also, and I gave my success criteria that it must be fully integrated into Django. User can register, login, and log out successfully. So I didn't code logouts actually, so I can remove logouts, and so it must be, login endpoints must be session based, or JWT based. So what I coded is JWT based. So all these things now is basically what I'm going to implement now. So now that I've followed the instruction, and I know that I'll be coding something like this as a feature, so let me continue. Now say write the test case suite, and put it in your task specific directory. So since my task directory now is 1, so what I'm going to do is I go to root, tasks, task id, task test.extension. So I'll create a new file now, task test.extension. So I'm going to put it here, task text dot. So the extension basically means like what type of testing framework you're using. If you're using Jest or Cypress, you can use .js. So me, I'm using PyTest, so I'll be using .py. So if you're a Maven guy, I don't know the extension for Maven. If you're a C++ guy, you can use GTest, so it will be HPP. Whatever you're doing, but just use supported parsers for now, which are only PyTest, Jest, and Maven. So this is supposed to be .py. So now that I have this, and I know this is where I'll be writing my test case suite to validate what I have done. And if I continue, the grading currently supports PyTest, Maven, and Jest. So that's it. The test case suite should encompass all edge cases of the task. Okay, the task case suite should contain at least 6 test cases, and this is a minimum. We recommend adding more. So the bare minimum you can give for number of test case suites should be 6. So do we get it now? So I'm going to write a test case suite. I've written it already. All these things you can use AI can write test case suite for you, and you just tweak it. um so let's just, I would have to copy it from here. So this is my test case suite. So if you're unfamiliar with testing, I don't know how you're going to do it though, but it is better you like more like learn. So I've built my server before, I've built a lot of things before, so I know this is going to be my Django endpoint, and this is my my endpoint for registration, and this is my endpoint for login. So we create this is basically a function to create a new user upon testing, because I don't want to always have, like, since I don't have a testing database to keep on giving me errors that user already exists or something. So what I'm doing in this test case suite is basically creating a new user. I create a new user with email, so UID blah blah blah. The first name is fake, second name is fake, password is the strong password. So I create a new user, I send it to my API, post request to my API, and I validate. Is the request 201? I check the data, the response. So is the email, are they the same? So this will help me know if a user is actually created. So I tested registration with missing password. So yeah, as you can see clearly, I didn't put the password. So I checked. So ideally my API would actually give me error, because I said I was going to add proper error management, error handling. That means all those error for everything is valid. So this also checks for it. So that means if the user is signing up without a password, you're supposed to get a 400 error. That means you're not filling out the field. So test register duplicate email. So now what this means is I'm basically trying to see if I can register again with the same email. So yeah, basically I created a user. As I created a user, I made a request there. I made a request to sign up now. I made another request to sign up again. So email is equals new email, basically creates a new email on the go. So here I've successfully registered, and here I'm also trying to re-register. So it's going to give me an error. So as I can see, this part here is incomplete because sign up requires this too. So I'm going to add it here. Good. So as you can see now, this basically this test. So test login. So to log in now, what I basically did is created a new email, I add my password, I add my payload, and I made a post request to my endpoint. So after making the endpoint, basically I've signed up here. So as I signed up, I tried to log in with the same email and password. So if I'm able to successfully log in, my status code will be 200. So if I'm able to log in, that means if the status code is 200, I want to confirm if it is the required data. That means am I getting an access token, and am I also getting a refresh token? So that's why I have, like, is access in data or token in data. So it isn't supposed to be in token in data or something. It's supposed to be refreshing data. I'm coming. Let me check Postman how I did it. Where's Postman? So basically I was testing my it wouldn't work. Yeah, because I've not spinned my server yet. So I've forgotten how it works. Maybe it's refresh token. Is in my code, I think this is why I actually put there in the code. So for the last one now, test login with wrong password. So let's say I register a new user, and I want to log in, but I'm logging in with wrong password. So this is the correct password, this is wrong password. So this is not supposed to work. It's supposed to give me a 401 error that unauthorized. So that's what I'm basically checking here. This part to test login, user not found. So I'm creating I'm trying to log in without having to create an account before. So I haven't created an account, but I'm trying to log in. So obviously it will fail. It's more like you're trying to log in without having an account. So that's why I'm asserting if 400 or 401. If the status code is in this, so if it is there, that means it works as expected. So this is basically my test case suite to test my application. So if we continue running, I say do not add test for anything that is not mentioned in the task description. So clearly I did not mention anything that I didn't test, or I didn't test anything I didn't mention. So update root slash run test.sh. So that means we have to create a run test.sh, since they say we should update something. So I don't know where they want us to update yet. So I created a new file. So in root run tests.sh. Good. So I created run test.sh. Update it as necessary to be able to run your test case suite with the command run test.sh and tasking tax id. We will want this command to be runnable. So what it basically wants is they want us to be able to run the task tests by using a shell command. So basically it should be of this format whenever I want to call it in our terminal. So write /run test.sh and then our task id, and our task id in this case is 1. So if we want to call it in our terminal, it is going to be something like this 1. So if we run it, it is going to run all our test suites. So basically we know that we have to write some code now. So basically our test case though, where is this thing I beg? Our run test.sh can now run any other task. That means if we have another folder here, that is 2, that's task 2. So if I call this command on 2, it is going to run it. So also I hope that you know that task 2 would also have task test description and task test, something like this, in up to 10. So do you understand it now? So for my run test.sh, I'm going to copy what I've written here before. So this is more like a Django thing. So AI can help you a lot. So I'm going to explain what's happening here actually. So I made in line 1, I made sure the whatever is running knows that it is a bash file, and set E as environment. So basically I'm preparing a variable task id. So this $1 basically means an input is coming. So that's basically it. So it is expecting something to fill its space. So if task id is not there, it doesn't exist, then it should return an error that task id is not provided. That's echo. That's basically should print it. So it echoes it and it tells you the appropriate usage, that this is the proper usage. Then it exits the shell. So and then it ends the if statements. So if our task id was provided, nothing happens. Python manage.py migrate. So this one basically runs our migration in our database for us, and it also starts our Django server. So this echo is basically printing to the terminal. So it runs our Django server for us, and after it runs our Django server, it checks it. Is our Django server active? So until call the sh to this endpoint which we ran here, is it active? So if it is not active, it should keep on, it should continue. So this is basically a while loop. It should continue printing, waiting for Django. So it should stop this after 1 minute. So if you runs this thing and runs this thing after 1 minute, and our Django server does not come up, it should stop. So after 1 minute, and then it should be done. Then it will break. So if our Django server is active less than 1 minute, it should echo also to the terminal that Django is up, it is running the tests. So explicitly tests file paths. So explicit tells file path. So now we use PyTest. Like I said, we're using PyTest. So we call our PyTest -v. It goes to the task directory here, right, slash the task id which we collected from line 4, right, the input slash task text.py. So it is mapping to this, right? So what we're also going to do is, this is more like a flag. So it doesn't really mean anything. It's more like connecting to the Django file, letting the Django file know that this is where the official task test is for the app is, so after testing it exits the shell, and after exiting it, it just lets you know that it's stopping the Django server. It kills everything and then it exits everything. So that's basically it. So running each test spins our server, and after it runs completely it shuts down. So do you get it? So that's basically why I was explaining earlier about our Docker file, that it has to always map out to the tests. Like here, our Docker file was mapping out to the run test.sh. You get, it's not that we're starting our server here. We're never starting our server here. And here too, our Docker compose is also running the command. And if our Docker compose runs the command, it takes in our Docker file and it runs everything. And eventually in our run test.sh, it starts our server and it runs all the tests after starting our server. So what do we want to do now? I want to write our Docker file, right? So if we go to our previous code now, we have our Docker file. So I would be copying this and pasting it in root folder. I would have to delete this. So now that I've pasted our Docker file in root folder, I want to explain what our Docker file does. So it takes in Python 3.11 from Docker remote. So this is basically env, since I'll be using environmental variables, and it compiles to C Python. So this is basically a config to help me know that it shouldn't compile. So Python don't write written bytes code, so it shouldn't write binary code at all. So I created a working directory in my Docker environment. I'm installing systems dependencies. So systems dependencies are dependencies that are important to like the new environment, important for it to run successfully, because a lot of Python packages are built on C and C++. So you need an environment that will support C to be able to run those Python packages successfully. So all these libpq dev are one of them. Build essential too is really important, and this is us. I think I'm trying to make sure that we are not caching and reducing space. I've forgotten the real work of this thing. So what do we do in our Docker compose after doing all this? We copy our requirement.txt. So requirement.txt in Django, this should be requirements. Yes, requirements.txt in Django basically is where we put all our dependencies that we needed to run the application. So I'm going to copy our dependencies, requirement.txt. So this is everything we need. I'm going to paste it. So we use Django REST framework, Django cores, Django REST framework, simple JWT, Django DRF access policy for permissions. We use request, we use PyTest and PyTest Django. So that's basically it for now. So if I go back to my Docker file, so after doing all this, I've copied my requirement.txt into my app work directory. I run pip install. I upgrade my pip version to the latest version, and I install all the packages in my requirements.txt. So why am I adding this? So no cache directory will allow, since I'm building a new environment on the go, it will allow it not to cache any package. So if like it has seen a package before, it will be like already installed. So I don't want that, because I kept getting a warning and all after I removed it. So I don't want that scenario. So I googled everything and it told me that this was the best practice. So app source. So I copied my app source. Now I'm copying the whole directory, the whole what is this thing called? The whole root folder, everything. And then what am I doing? I'm permissions now. I have to make my run test.sh executable, right? So here this command makes it executable. So what do I basically chmod plus x / so it makes it executable and it runs the tests. If here were to be you, it will only make it executable, but this makes it executable and it also runs the run test.sh. So once it runs the run test.sh, it goes here and all these things here run. So it basically starts our server. After starting our server, it runs all the tests. So in our Docker file, so we expose 800. So we expose this route 800. So now let's move on to Docker Compose parts. So now that we have our Docker file, you can leave your stuff like this, but we want to make sure that our task ID is coming automatically, because after query is judging with like a script that they have written, not judging with human being. So if I go here now, I have my Docker Compose. So my Docker Compose file basically has a service, a backend, and it builds from our root folder. It builds everything, and it takes these ports. It exposes our ports that our Docker file is on. So environment, it takes in task ID. So ideally, environment is not supposed to be there. There is a reason why I added environment, so I could test. So you can ignore it, because if you look at their own, there is no environment like they have here. There is no environment. So me, I'm basically using my like environmental variable to test. So you can remove it if you want, but just, and these are command. It basically takes in task ID. So if you want to run task ID for your third task, this will be 3. So there's a way you can call it. So this one will make me add. Let me just show you what this does. So if you look at my environmental variable, I put task ID as 1. So whenever I call my command, it will run task ID of the test in tasks 1. So if here is 3, it is going to do like that. So there's where I did it, but I'm going to, if I want to submit, I'm going to remove it. So I'll be needing this environmental variable, because what I implemented, I needed to make sure my secret key is protected. So I'll be copying these two and I'll be pasting it in these parts. So task ID is 1, and I go back to Docker Compose and I copy this, Control C. So you see how minimalist my Docker Compose is. So I didn't really write any special copy there. I didn't really write any special code or build crazy service. Let's say in our next task, after task 1, I want to implement database in Docker. So depending on my task description, I can add it here, but it doesn't really affect this. You get? So you can just ignore that. So now that I've done like 80% of the work, so now let's continue. So we go back. Where did we stop? So let's see. So now see, after we have tested, commit the task description and the test suite. So we have not written any tests yet though. We have not even done anything. So we just created all the empty files and all. So let's just see commit the task description. So I go to my root folder and I copy this command, and then I go, I don't know where I'm going. Okay, I go here. So I copy, I'll paste it into my terminal, and I know that my task ID is 1, right? So this will be 1. So after task description.txt, didn't I write it well? Oh, sorry, mistake. CD URL short now. Good. Yes, I explained earlier, that's not the root folder. So I've committed it now. So I'm following the instruction again. I said git / this now. So I'm going to copy it again. So I'm going to put 1 here. Good. So I've copied the instruction again. So I'm going to copy this again. So I'll paste it also. So task ID now, I know my task ID is 1, right? Enter. So now I've done this already, right? So what do I want to do now? I implement and solve the task. So now I'll now code it up. So like I said, it's basically authentication. So I've coded it before to make life easy. So I'll just copy this thing, copy this folder, paste this folder in here, shorts now. So I'm going to copy short now, and then paste short now here. Oh, sorry, mistake. Yes. So paste short now here, and I think I can delete this one and then put it here. So this short now has the most recent, it has the recent files and all. So as you can see, that's all the recent files. And this is my custom authentication. So this is the authentication guy. That's views, that's my logic, my register logic, and my login logic. That's all my code basically. That's my utils.py. I'm not writing Django test. That's my serializers. So it also has my permissions because I'm using another package to handle permissions. That's my models.py, since it's the Django thing. That's an app, admin, and blah blah blah. So you don't really have to care about it. It also has my migrations. So basically, if you know your framework well, you shouldn't be overwhelmed by what I'm doing. You get? So if you know your Node.js, you should just know this. Basically, you implementing a feature in Node.js. So I have it already. Let me see if I'm missing any other file. So I have this, and my task is there. So I have requirements.txt, I have runtest.sh, I have manage.py. So you can ignore venv. Venv is basically me creating a virtual environment in Python. So anybody that codes in Python would know the importance of having a venv. So the task is basically our task folder. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically this is supposed to be up to 10. My PyCache is basically because of I've been testing before. So whenever I test in Python, you have this .pytest cache folder. So it is not an issue. So if I go back to my work now, so I've implemented my feature, right? So let me go back to the docs. So now that I've implemented and I've solved the task, I now want to test it. And I remember I've written my test cases already, right? So I want to run it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this command now, and I'm going to paste it in my terminal. Okay, and I'm going to edit the task ID to be 1. I'm going to click on enter. Oh, sorry, cd URL short now. Yes. So I'm going to waiting this up now. Where's my runtest.sh? Oh, everything is supposed to be in here. Yeah, mistake. Everything is supposed to be in here. What's going on? I'm coming. cd URL short now. pwd. Oh, how many URL short now? Sorry, cd dot. So I'll clear. Good. Permission denied. So I understand why permission denied is happening, because my file is not executable yet. I've not gotten the permission to make it executable. But in my Docker, in my requirement test.sh, I think there's a place where I made it executable. I think it was in the Docker file. Yeah, I made it executable here. So I'm basically going to do pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to do chmod. I don't know how this is pronounced. Chmod u plus x. Oh, sorry, chmod u plus x, and then the name of the file, runtest.sh. So now it is going to make it executable. Once it makes it executable, I'm going to now run it. So Python command not found. I'm coming. Oh, so mistake. My laptop doesn't support Python, using like ordinary Python for command. So I'm using Python here somewhere. Yeah, Python. So it only supports me using Python 3. That's if I had Python 3. So I don't know what I did wrong, but I would have to go back to original. So now that I see that it is giving me error. So the reason why it is giving me error is that I've not activated virtual environments. So I have to activate virtual environments. So let me go check how to activate virtual environment again. Yes. My data. My phone is on. Crazy. Connect. Sorry for this, though. By the way, where my phone? Yeah. So now that I'm connected to the internet, I'm back actually. Sorry for the delay, by the way. Now that I'm back, I'm connected, so I'm going to create a Python virtual environment. So, where were we? Yeah. So I'm going to copy paste the command. So my laptop doesn't allow Python, ordinary Python, so I have to have Python 3. So I created a virtual environment now. So let's see if it creates it. So it has created a virtual environment. So you can see .venv. So I have to activate my virtual environment now. So I'm waiting for this thing to code. Have fun, okay? So Control C. So I'm coming. It is actively trying to good. So I've created the virtual environment. I have to activate it now. So source dot venv slash bin slash activate. Good. So I've activated my virtual environment. If you can see the change here, so this is by VS Code extension. So if your laptop doesn't show this thing, it doesn't matter. So now that we are at this stage, I've activated it. So I'll go back to run my command, run test.sh. So it is failing because I've not installed Django. So if you look at my run test.sh, it is basically just starting the server, but it is not installing all the packages. So it is actually working as expected, because ideally my run test.sh, I'm not installing anything because I didn't write any logic for me to install the packages. I only wrote it in my Docker file, if you recall. So what it basically means is, since my Docker file is calling my run test.sh, I'll just activate my Docker file. So when Docker gets here, Docker would have installed all the packages for me. So it's just call the command like that. You just call the test command. So you can start Docker directly. You can start your Docker file with Docker Compose. So in this case, I'll be doing with Docker Compose. In this case, I'll be doing it with Docker Compose. So I really want to confirm if it will work. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to use Docker Compose. So let me check the command again. So up, good. So I'll paste the command. So Docker Compose up build. So it basically builds our Docker services. Control C. So it basically builds our Docker services, and after it builds it, and our Docker service call this Docker Compose call our Docker file call run test.sh. So after it, just kill the terminal, kill the container, because we don't need to keep our server alive or anything. We just want to check if it will work. So I click on enter. So I wait gracefully to see what happens. As you can see, what's in our Docker file is what's happening now. We created a working directory. We install all the packages. So all these things are like operating system thing that allows C++ to work and C to work. So you can see, if you, I don't know if you know where this line came from. So this line is basically coming from all these parts. Yeah. So build essentials and libpq dev. So it is installing everything. So I think I would have to wait here a little bit. So I'm currently waiting. I don't know why this thing is slow. But while we wait, uh we can just play around on my PC. I beg. This thing is too slow for my liking. Baby shark, baby shark, baby shark. I beg now, fast. So I think the internet is better than worse for now. So how many files are you downloading, guy? So we are waiting. Okay. ARM 4.2. What do I want to do? I actually already have this thing here. I don't know why I'm rebuilding my container here. But since I've started everything, since I'm doing everything here, let me just complete it here. Well, if it seems like it's taking forever, I'll just have to stop. Fuck, 17 MB. Ten MB. Okay, I think the internet is now better. So let's see. Good. So now that we are done installing, it is adding them to our Docker environment. So it is unpacking everything. So now it is running pip install in our Docker file. It copied requirements.txt. It is running pip install requirements.txt. So that's why that thing didn't work when I was trying to run test directly. So it updates pip now. It is now installing all the packages. So Django, DRF access policy, everything. Yeah, installing everything. PyTest. So it is installing sub packages too. Okay, so now that it has installed it is now running the run test.sh, but now we have all the packages installed. So you see it didn't give us any error, and it also made it executable since it is not in our machine now, it is in the virtual environment. So it made this run test.sh executable. So now it is unpacking everything into our Docker container. So successfully now we'll have our container spinning. So if I check here, I'm only showing running containers. I believe it to show now. Yes, builds. So you see it is now here. Our URL shortener is here now. So let's see what's going on. So let's see our Docker container. Our Django server is on. As you can see, the waiting.django part, waiting for Django. Django container is on now. So now we are running all the tests. So after that, I was running all the tests. So it failed all the tests. I'm coming. So we ran all the tests. Okay. So it failed all the tests. Yeah. Let me see. 404 not found. So basically, if you understand it up to this point, you understand how the whole logic works. So why did it fail all the tests? Let's just continue and then we debug it. So we have this, and okay, this doesn't matter for now. This doesn't matter. So the thing is, I know why it's failing all the tests actually. Yeah, I know why it's failing all the tests. Because we did not run migrations. So if I check my run test.sh, what I basically did here is run migrate. So I'm not running migrations. So since it's a new database, I'm supposed to run migrations. So you can ignore all this. This is just basically a Python framework issue. Make migrations. Yes. So if I rerun our Docker container now, I think so it has installed all this thing before. I think it should cache it. Yes, that it is caching it, so no need to reinstall. Oh, make migrations. Nice. Okay, good. So we are having some errors now. It is impossible to. So I know what's happening. Let me delete my migrations, I beg. This is more like not like my issue, my fault. It's basically the fault from the like config, because I copied it. So now let's run it once again. Good. So successfully it has run all the migrations and it has tested everything. So it said 6 failed again. So let me see why it's failing. Okay. So you get error 404. Blah blah blah. You can just ignore it. It's something that will have to be fixing by recoding. I don't want to touch this, but in this other part it works. Yeah, because I set it up properly. So if I click on enter, let's see what happens. So this is the other part. This is the correct part though. So what will happen if I click on enter? So if I click on enter, I built my container. It ran. Okay, so it's running the tests. So you can see here now, all the tests pass. 6 passed in 1.27 seconds. So all the test case passed, as you can see, passed. So this is the one that I set up my environment properly, but that one I was just copying and pasting, so it messed things up. So basically it is running test for task ID 1, because that is what I put in my environment, task ID 1, like I explained. So if I go to my Docker Compose, if I want to submit, I'll remove this. You get, I'll remove this. So it's after query that is going to fill this value for me. But I don't know, I would have to clarify this from Tiana. So that's basically it. So now you successfully see how I created a particular task now. So this process now, I'm going to do it for task 2 again, task 3, task 4 up to 5. So we are not done yet. Let's just continue with the doc since we are not done. So now that I've implemented it, I've tested it, I saw that it works, right? It works in this part too, not this other part. So I can close this other part since they are the same thing. So it works in this part. So what do I want to do? I say git add. Just imagine I've run this and it works. So they say git add implementation files. So git add. I'm going to go there to my terminal now. What changes do I made? I made changes in custom auth. So custom auth, everything in custom auth. I made changes to shortener too. Shortener. So every file in shortener. I made changes in URL shortener. I'm aware. So URL shortener. I'm also aware I made changes in .env, because I created a new .env file, .env. So I made changes in requirements.txt too. So requirements.txt, run test.sh. Run test.sh. Let's add it. I made changes in Docker, or run test.sh isn't an implementation file, so I'll leave it. I think this is enough. db.sqlite too. So I'll see db.sqlite or something. So I click on enter. So now that I've done this, I'll copy this next command. I'll paste it. So they made an error here. This is supposed to be task diff. So this is 1, right? So I click on enter. Once I click on enter, something happens. I open my task folder. I go to task 1. all of a sudden I've seen a task diff file. So this task this is basically everything. You see, this binary is basically my database. It's because I added SQLite, but it doesn't matter, yeah, it doesn't matter. So basically the changes that I made, every one of them, all the code that I wrote in this new implementation, everything, you can see it. Class permission policy, my code basically, user serializer, everything, how I wrote it. So this is going to get me all the new changes that I made. As you can see, generate short code and all. So after that, I'll go to git reset edge implementation files now. So I know that I have my implementation files here. I'll just copy everything and then I'll paste it. I think it's base repo, but it had db.sqlite in the base repo, so I made a mistake. So I click enter. So I've resetted it now. So after I resetted it, so it has been in git now. It has basically gone back to git repo. Since now it has gone back to git repo, I follow the next instruction. Commit the task diff only to save your implementation. So I copy this command again, I paste it. So I know that my task ID is 1. So I put 1. I click on enter. It commits. I then copy this and I go back and then I click on 1. After that, what do? I reset my head also. I click on enter. So now what happened is, in my git now there is no trace of me coding this thing. It's basically me going back to where I started from. Do you get? So now technically in git I'm back to base repo, but yeah, I'm not back to base repo yet in my code base. So now they now say note, tasks should be independent, no build on top each other. So that means as I've built authentication now, I cannot now build another code that will be dependent on this particular code. Do you get? So that means I have to return back to base repo. So I'll delete this. Every change that I made, in short now, that's my views, everything that I made. Don't know if I made any change here, but my models. So every change I made, my app, I don't think I made any change here. Admin, I didn't make any change. I can delete by tests, cache, yep. So URL short now, I think I made changes here. So I'm going to delete everything, all this. So once I delete it, I go to settings.py. I changed a lot of things. I added cause headers. Just there's a way you can use, I don't know, you just control Z everything. So once you control Z everything, you're now back to base repo. You will now continue. So let's go. Let's say now you're back to base repo. So you can now code another task. Do you get? So now they now say ensure your project is gradable. Your product will be used for training frontier models and coding agents. So in order to ensure reproducible testing, so they now give us this example that we have Docker file and Docker compose, run test.sh, all other repo files, right? Just like the same pattern here. So we have Docker YAML, run test.sh, and all other repo files. So in a task/task ID, we have task description, we have task diff, we have task text. Now we have to have run test and Docker YAML again. So that means it has to be something like this. So we'll create run tests. So the truth about it is, if you have a run test outside, you don't really need to change anything inside. Just copy it, because in their own example too, it's the same thing that they do. Just copy it, just copy the code contents. So what it means is you are only running tests for task 1. So this is the same thing, the same idea. It's be here in this case will only be 1. You get? So here in this case will only be 1. So it's still the same idea. You don't really need to change anything. So we have run test.sh. Just say docker.compose.yaml now. So if we copy this, we have docker compose. So we have Docker compose.yaml. So there's nothing there yet. So they now explain some things: ID arena, quick start, prerequisites, blah 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 blah, UV. So they now give example: your project and task will be reviewed. If project is sufficiently complex, so you change at least 10 plus files. That's project, that's your task, everything. Project description and task are sufficiently detailed. Everything high quality code. Project fits the grading scheme. So all these ones are of how to write proper testing and all. So this basically it. So if you look at this Docker Compose thing now, I want to clear the air about it. It's not be an empty file. So we can remove PyTest cache. Always remove it, please, to submit Docker. So if I go to their code now, I want to go somewhere. I want to show you something. So if I open VS Code, new window. Okay, so if I open folder, I think I have their example. So that their coding example that was there, I have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find it, sample repo. So this sample repo is basically their own base repo. You can see their runtest.sh. So their runtest.sh is different from mine. It takes in your task ID, it runs everything. Requirements.txt. So their Docker file, you can see it is calling the stuff. It's basically just like my own self. You see this, Abby. So they even have environment. So they were using environment also safe, but it doesn't matter. You get. So they have this their own application. So it was a C++ application, but it followed the base repo. So this is the example of their base repo now. So now let's go find their what is it called? Their task, example of a task. So hopefully I find it though. So where did I keep this thing again? Error something. So error in downloads, right? So error surfacing. I don't know if it is error surfacing. No, this isn't error surfacing. I would have to check downloads myself. So what do I want to look for? Sample repo, range master, post management. Oh god. Error surfacing too, I think. Yes, this is it. Good. So this is a task. A task now, like if you what I basically mean is this like an example. So if you look at their own task now, they gave us task test. So they wrote their task test, task diff. You can see the changes that they made. Task description. You can see how detailed it is. Error surfacing, blah blah blah. Difficulty medium. Run test.sh. So they didn't really change their own too. It's basically the same thing. You get, because all we just have to do is we just pull one. You see, get ID from environment or default to folder name, anyhow you want to do it. So Docker Compose. So the Docker Compose in the task ID, this is what they wrote. So what I would advise is that you copy this thing, to be honest, because it's basically the same thing, but instead of us doing it from root folder, now we are doing it from inside folder. So yeah, basically they went out of the task folder, then left. Like what I mean is they basically were at task 1 before. They went out of task 1 to tasks, then they left that folder to root folder. So that's what this context means. So and then they found the Docker file that is in the root folder, and then they built it based on the Docker file. So all this image don't matter. All these container names, so you can just name your container anything, to be honest. So this is command to make sure like the container doesn't die, and all these things too don't matter. All this just comment it out, to be honest. So I will copy this from theirs and I'll paste it in mine. So where's my, I'll paste it here. So what I'm just going to do is I would be leaving it this way, to be honest, because this is basically a Docker compose for its own self, so it doesn't spoil anything. So now that I'm done with task one, I have everything checked. What did I do again? Control Z. Here I have my task diff, one test or sh, task description. So then after I'm done with it, I know that I've reverted back to base repo. I'll close this. I'll go to task 2. I'll think about another task description. So I'll repeat the process 10 times. And once I'm done 10 times, I'll follow the instruction to submit. Then I'll submit. So that's basically it, guys. We'll talk about it next time. Anybody who has a question can highlight it. Thank you.